Welcome to the Real Life Podcast with your hosts, leadership and personal growth author and speaker John C. Donahue and licensed psychotherapist Lou Carfisi. The Real Life Podcast is your weekly dose of motivation, encouragement, and direction to help you live your life at the highest level.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Real Life Podcast. My name is John. I come to you from johncdonahue.com. Talk about leadership, relationships, and living life at the next level. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, my partner, my best friend, Mr. Lou Carfisi. How you doing today, pal?
I'm doing well, John, and hello, everybody. My name is Lou Carfisi, and I would like to welcome you here along with John Donahue. I am a licensed psychotherapist in the state of Georgia. I deal with issues ranging from marital counseling, family counseling, to victims of abuse, and really your usual range of psychological disorders, depression, and the like. And I can be found at lifecarecounseling.net, right, as well as reallifepodcast.com.
Right. And reallifepodcast.com is our website. We do blog posts and the podcast. We do a weekly podcast, comes out on Wednesday. We'd love for you to visit us there. We'd also love for you to come like us over on Facebook, facebook.com/Real Life Podcast. You can always find us on Twitter at Real Life Cast. And we would love to have you sign up for our newsletter. And each week we send a newsletter out on Sunday mornings early so you can relax and read the paper, catch up on email, and read our newsletter. And that is at reallifepodcast.com/newsletter. And we would love to have you do that. So I think that kind of takes care of all the business. What we're going to do is we usually talk for 20 minutes or so about what we're talking about today as our subject. And then we try to open it up. There's people that usually watch us here on Blab. Open it up for Q&A. Love to have questions from you. That is a great way to contact us here on Blab. And you can always send us an email at questions@reallifepodcast.com. And today, my friend, we're talking about road rage, surviving road rage in our daily lives. That's a big subject.
It's huge.
Yeah. If you deal with traffic, and I know, we're talking about life in general, in real life. If you're dealing with real life, you have to deal with road rage, because a lot of the people that listen to this podcast are usually listening while they drive to or from work. So road rage is a real issue. And I used to live in Atlanta. I currently live in Tampa now, and road rage is an issue here, just like it was in Atlanta.
Yeah. Atlanta is so crowded, and the surrounding areas are so crowded that it's very difficult for you to just drive along and not have at least one thought of, punching somebody in the eye, because right, people will cut you off. They'll go slow. They'll get in the left lane, and they'll be giving you one finger salutations, and which is not good.
No,
because it tends to build up the rage.
Right, absolutely. And have you ever been to LA and experienced their traffic?
I've only been to LA once, and when I was there, I got one of those Oriental guys who does the acupressure.
Yeah.
So by the time he was done with me, I had no rage left in me.
Oh, wow.
So.
Yeah. I've been to LA a couple times, and as bad as the Atlanta traffic is, I think LA takes the cake. But I think downtown New Yorkers take the cake for road rage.
Yes,
I think they try to break their horns. So if you ever want to handle some road rage, and go up to New York and deal with that. So yeah. I think what we want to do is we want to start out by telling a story. So let's go into story time, Lou. Is that a good idea?
Let's go with the story. That's right.
All right. So here's
Here
story
we
time.
are.
So
here's story time.
You want me to tell a story? Or you want to tell a story?
You can tell it if you like.
All right. So let's just imagine there you are. You're late for that appointment, and you're driving and weaving in and out of traffic. And as you do so, you're getting more and more aggravated. And you're sure that someone has placed all of these idiots in front of you just to ruin your day that you've so really looked forward to. let's just say that it's the third interview for this awesome job, and you just really need to impress the CEO with this last interview. So as your tensions mount, as you find yourself compulsively taking a finger and aiming it at people who could be teachers, priests, or maybe just really nice people who happen to be in your way, you don't care who they are. They're just in front of you and in your way. And surely they're going to be responsible for you being late and not acknowledging the fact that you actually overslept. So you arrive to your interview just a shade past 1 minute late, and then you come to find out that the CEO always gets there 15 minutes late, and then you wind up having to wait for the interview anyway. I've been this very spot, my friend.
You have.
I have.
What happened?
I was running late, and I tried to cram too much into my morning, and I realized I had to be somewhere in half an hour, and it takes half an hour to get there, and there was a ton of traffic, and I was so mad. I was screaming at people, and it's funny because we used to say that anybody that drives faster than you is a maniac, and anybody that drives slower than you is an idiot. Uh-huh. So I was the maniac that day.
Yep. What about the people who cut you off? What are they?
I can't say on this podcast what I thought they were at the time, but they were not good.
No, not good.
They were unpleasant. It was an unpleasant response. So, but I don't do the middle finger salute, though. That's the one thing that I don't do.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good. Because you tend to get a reputation by doing that.
Yeah. Plus, you don't know what kind of rage the other person's dealing with, and they may or may not have a firearm in their car. So
that's the truth.
You know. So.
Okay. So here you've gone through this traumatic morning. You've gotten there, and poof, you're deflated because you're there early. You didn't have to get mad. You didn't have to get angry. So what did you accomplish for the start of your day, and possibly for the start of your new career?
Right. So in this scenario, my anxiety level would be through the roof. I'm angry. I'm flustered. I'm very unfocused. And then I start thinking about all the mistakes that could happen in this job interview because my anxiety level is so high. Fear and doubt start creeping in because I'm not thinking correctly. And all of those emotions start rattling around inside my head. And that starts causing physical consequences, like an upset stomach, or I start having a headache and, just this overall feeling of just yuck.
It's a good way to express it.
Yeah.
So now you're not really prepared now for your interview.
Yeah. To say that
it's probably a good thing that you had to wait 15 minutes.
Yeah. To say that my head was in the right place would be an overstatement. I'm completely not in the right spot. I'm nowhere near where I should be for this job interview.
Well, it should interest you, my friend, and everybody else out there, that you have drifted off into a psychiatric madness of sorts. Because an association with psychiatric illness is implied from reports of such drivers being angry.
Right.
Previous literature has demonstrated a link between road traffic accidents and mental illness.
So, okay, so I understand that, but are you basically saying that I have a mental illness because I have road rage?
No, you don't have a specific mental illness. Well, you might, I don't know, but in this case, you experience and you are showing the world this other side of you that's not real, that is all completely disassociated from who you are as a person.
Right.
And there is a direct link between psychiatric illness and these periods of time when you're so angry that you're off the hook, man. You're gone.
Right. So it's like a temporary insanity.
Yeah, it is.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. What happens is your personality changes. It changes from being a reasonable, likable, peaceful person to this angry person that you don't even recognize. So who is this other person? Is this some kind of alter ego inside you? Is it a Sybil, kind of deal? No, it's just that you are having trouble controlling your thoughts and your actions, which means that you're disassociating from the person who you really are and morphing into this other person that wants to take over because you really need to get to where you're going and everybody else is in your way and ruining your day and your career and everything else, which is completely out of sorts. Doesn't even make sense. Right.
So we're talking about road rage. So that disassociation. So is that kind of what happens when all of these emotions, all these things that we're talking about that happen when I stress out about not only being late, but being late for job interview on top of dealing with drivers that may or may not be good, or I perceive them to not be good. All of that kind of wells up together and causes me to act in a way that's not congruent with who I am normally.
Right. That's right. It's a great way to explain it.
Wow.
They're not characteristic of you.
Right.
When you start feeling these emotions, you change to someone who is not characteristic of the real person. And you experience the fight or flight response of the brain.
Okay. Okay. So I understand fight or flight in other situations. I don't understand it here. So why don't you, because of your expertise, why don't you explain what fight or flight means? Because I'm not sure I'm really getting how that applies to road rage. Normally, fight or flight's like if I'm challenged by somebody, like if I'm being robbed, I have fight or flight technique, or I have fight or flight. I get that. I don't get that how it pertains to road rage.
Well, you're in a rage, John. When you're this angry, you are not who you are. And this state of being enraged is just a response to this fight or flight response. You either are going to fight to get through what you need to get through, or you're going to fly. You're going to take off. You're going to go away. You're going to flee from the circumstance because you can't take the anxiety that's happening in front of you. And the problem with this is when your brain triggers this, it takes you by surprise, and it takes you to the point where you're really just not crazy, okay?
Right?
Not insane, just not okay, and you have to do something about it real quick.
So what's going on in my whole body that's fight or flight is causing my brain to fire all sorts of neurons? What's going on inside? Is that what's causing the upset stomach and the heartbeat going crazy? That's what's causing all that to happen?
Yep. During stress, your nervous system changes. Your heart pumps due to the release of chemicals from the adrenal system. The neurons in your brain are sparking like an old radio dumped in a bathtub. I mean, you've got sparks flying. You've got all kinds of stuff going on in your brain. And to say that this is not healthy is like the understatement of the year. It is just not good for you, because once you've been there once, it's easier to get there the second time and the third time.
Right. Well, that explains why I fly off the handle so quickly when I'm driving, I guess. And that doesn't explain how I fly off the handle when I'm riding. I do that a lot. I don't know.
Well, who are you mad at when you're getting that feeling in your riding?
The people that cut my wife off usually.
When you're riding?
When I'm riding, yeah. My wife is driving, yeah, and then I'm usually mad at the people cutting us off. I'm usually not mad at her.
Well, the thing is that now, first of all, you're not in control, and second of all, you're protecting your wife. So that adds a completely new dimension of frustration, anger, and whatever, angst. So here you are, your wife's driving. Don't you dare, stick your finger up at my wife, or don't you dare cut us off, or don't you dare do what you're doing, All
right. So that brings me to this question, my friend. How can we better handle road rage in a more healthy way? I've got some ideas, but I'd like to hear what you have to say about it.
Okay. Well, these things are what you experience when you build up anger and frustration as you can't seem to get the world to respond in a fashion that accommodates you. I mean, that's really the answer to that. Everything's going wrong. So the world, you need to twist the world around to accommodate how you feel. And we can speak volumes on that. But anyway, you kind of go crazy.
Right.
And it's not healthy mentally or physically. And the term crazy is not meant to be a specific psychological diagnosis. It is just a colloquial term for just not acting like who you are and just seemingly out of control. It's important to put things into perspective when you're under pressure like that, with anything in your life is in the way. It doesn't go your way. So handling road rage can be handled in a healthy way. And I would say the first thing under that is to change your thoughts. You think you can, is that something that's doable, John?
Yeah. And we talk about it. We've talked about it on different situations. It's a couple of different things. I think one is you can compartmentalize if you have that ability. I struggle with that. It's not something I do really easy. You could take those thoughts that you have at the moment, put them in a different area, and you can sort it out later, and you can focus on the task at hand. Or we've talked about the rubber band around the wrist. And when you start having negative thoughts, you can snap that and kind of help you pull out of the negative thinking. But just change your thoughts. If you're driving down the road and you're mad, you can always think about something more pleasant. You can think about maybe the dinner plans that you have later, or maybe a vacation or something that's pleasant and calming. Think about somebody special, or turn the radio to a different type of radio station. If you're listening to talk radio and you're dealing with road rage and you're angry and you're listening to some news and you get stressed out, or you're listening to heavy metal, which is what I'm normally doing, listening to music. I listen to a book on audio, or I just listen to some kind of soothing music. Maybe I'm a nerd and I listen to classical, but that helps me get my brain and my thought pattern out of what's negative and angry and pulls it more towards what's positive and calming and relaxing, and helps me.
That's good. That's a good way to describe it. And that's a really good way to control it. What we're kind of doing is chain thinking. It's like a chain smoker. This is chain thinking, which means that there is no break in between one thought and another, and all the thoughts that you're having are flipping by your brain so fast and flipping through, and you're feeling all this anger inside you. You have to control what you think. You need to develop strategies to say, I'm not thinking about this anymore. I have to think about something else. Get perspective. You know where you are. You're in a vehicle, and these people could be anything. They could be priests. They could be, robbers. They could be, homicidal maniacs. We don't have no idea when you're driving in the car who you're going to encounter.
Right. And you also have to remember that they're dealing with their own issues.
Yeah.
And, that's the thing that you have to be cognizant of. I know that you're running late, or you're dealing with drivers, and you're dealing with all sorts of stuff in your own world. Everybody's got their own junk. Everybody's got their own reason for why they're driving the way they are. Maybe they're just aggressive drivers, but you have to be aware of, there's other people on the road, and those other people have stories and issues and concerns, and they may be running late to a job interview with their own. So now you're battling,
That's right. Okay. Another way to do it is physically take control, which is you do this by slowing down your heart rate, and you do that by taking deep, deliberate, and slow breaths.
Right.
Because when you do that, you force everything to slow down. You force your heart rate to slow. You force the thinking, therefore, to slow. And you get into a circumstance where you're finding yourself, at peace in the middle of chaos that's going on around you outside. Ever notice that, John?
Yeah, it's hard to do, but if you can be cognizant and self-aware enough to take those moments and slow down you be able to handle any situation. The fight or flight is a built-in trigger response. When you're taking those deep breaths, you are taking control back, and you are taking control of your system. You're slowing your heart rate, you're taking those deep breaths. And while you're doing that and trying to change your thoughts, that should help at least get from point A to point B without causing an accident or hurting somebody or yourself.
That's right. Now, there will be times when you're going to try all these and you're going to say, hey, it ain't working, and I'm really starting to lose it. In that case, pull over. Stop and grab a snack, something to drink, soft drink, coffee, something like that, and get yourself calm. Change your environment a little bit, because you are not in an environment that's going to be healthy, and nothing good's going to come out of it at all. So,
yeah, and that's something that I've practiced, and I learned it a long time ago. There's so much going on when you're dealing with traffic and you don't know what's going on with the other driver. Sometimes the safest thing is to just pull over and pull yourself out of the situation. And that holds true not just with road rage, but with any situation where you're dealing with high anxiety and fear and those emotions that cause the fight or flight response. If you're in one of those situations, it might, in an extreme case, just make the most sense to just extract yourself from it. It's the safest bet.
That's right. Think calm.
Right.
Trust in your own talents to pull you through any situation. You've been in tougher spots before. Okay. And the thing you have to do is you got to remind yourself that that's not you. You are not that angry and bitter, crazy driver. You're a good person. You have your own identity, and it's not compatible with this rage and anger that you're experiencing. So, get perspective.
Right. Yeah,
okay.
and when you do that, in the case of the story that we told on the front end, you're going to get where you need to go. You're going to make the appointment. You may or may not be late, but you're going to get where you need to go. And as a case in our story, you're probably going to get the job. So
probably, yeah.
Probably, if you get your head in the right spot and you do well in the interview, you should be okay. But
that's right.
Getting great perspective, calming down, retraining your brain, fighting against that fight or flight, all great stuff, buddy. Good stuff. I hope that helped you deal with road rage in your daily life. If you have any other questions or need to get in touch with Lou or myself, you can always find us at reallifepodcast.com and over on Facebook at Real Life Podcast and on Twitter at Real Life Cast. If you have any other questions or specific suggestions or thoughts, you just want to get in touch with either one of us, you can send them to questions@reallifepodcast.com, like Lou mentioned. Thank you guys for watching and taking time out of your busy schedules to listen or watch our blab. Lou, thank you for your expertise as always, my friend.
No, not at all, John. Thank you very much for yours.
You're always welcome. And we always want to leave you with this bit of encouragement. We want to encourage you to choose to be awesome, because when you choose to be awesome, you truly will be.
Thank you for listening to the Real Life Podcast. Find out more information and sign up for the Real Life Podcast newsletter at reallifepodcast.com. You can also learn more about our hosts, Lou Carfisi at lifecarecounseling.net and John Donahue at johncdonahue.com. And remember, live your life to the fullest. And as always, we want to encourage you to choose to be awesome, because when you choose to be awesome, you will be. Have a great week, everyone.